Alright, so here are my thoughts on why Road of the Dead was such a good game, until of course Flash shut down. So, Road of the Dead starts off as a mechanic sitting in his garage welding, when the radio from his Mustang kicks on and it starts displaying the events of what's happening outside of the real world. And the military starts talking about the infection, and when he starts switching channels, he starts hearing news broadcasts of people talking about how zombies just got up and started walking. So, with that being said, he says, I gotta get out of here. So then the game starts off to where you are driving your Mustang down a highway. Just straight line down a highway, no turns, no nothing. Just trying to get out of the city. That's the whole game. Right in the game. And along the way, or one having to avoid civilians and obstacles such as vehicles and fences, and the military, who will progressively get worse and worse and try to stop you. And you will hear the events through the military via your radio in your car. Well, while listening to the radio, you can hear what they're playing. And I think it was General of the U.S. Army, was talking about how they couldn't stop a single car. And he progressively gives the military more reason to try to take you down. He starts sending helicopters, carpet bombs, the works. And then later on down through the game, the zombies will mutate. And you'll have to avoid those zombies from hopping onto your vehicle. So eventually, after a while, you get all the way down to the end of the highway when a nuke timer starts up. You have to try to not get hit by the nuke. You have like 2 minutes, I think, if I can remember, to get out of the city. So, once you reach the end, you can see a cutscene to where your mechanic is sitting by his Mustang looking at the nuke. Well, at the end, the military will talk about how they were immune to the nuke and they kept walking. So, that's just with the first game. The second Road of the Dead. You are well, not just you. You have two characters. You have a female in the military and a male in the military. Depending on which one you want to drive and which one you want to shoot will depend on the weapons you get. With the male, I think you get a MP5, a Spaz, and a M60. Female, I think you get a shotgun, an assault rifle, and an Uzi, I think. Well, starts off as the female having been flipped over in her Humvee. And you can see one of the military members getting dragged out and back into the Humvee. Then it kicks off to her being pinned down by a zombie, her being able to kill a zombie, turning around to see 3 zombies heading to her when a Humvee slams into the zombies, killing him. And that's when you get the choice to take your character. That, in itself, in my opinion, is a really good detail that they had for the game. Well, then you progressively get through the game, and you can pick up survivors in this one, unlike the first one. You just gotta stop your vehicle, honk your horn. But what they did with this one instead of the first one is that you can't just go plowing through zombies because they'll hop onto your Humvee and you won't be able to take them. And with that being said, the weapons that you are given aren't really as powerful as the revolver in the first one, but you have a lot more places you go to. You can stop at police stations, churches, grab med kits, upgrade your weapons, and you can even get to turrets on top of your Humvee, which is a minigun and a rocket launcher. You also are able to repair and upgrade your vehicle through your playthrough, unlike in the first one. But enough with the gameplay. So it starts off on you have to repair your radio to get radio transmissions. As you're getting radio transmissions via the military that you are working for, it'll talk about the outbreak and the mechanic from the first one, John Kreisman. And something really cool about this one that they didn't do in the first one with the storyline is that they are aware of the dangers and they talk about what places they should go to, while John Kreisman, he just stays on the highway, exploring it to the end. The first one, in my opinion, is better because you're just exploring it down the highway. Just one goal, get out of there and not die. While on the second one, they're planning it out and being really tactical. I didn't really like that about the second one. But eventually they start going through intersections to where vehicles, unlike in the first one, are actually driving and you gotta avoid them. And with that being said, you being able to repair your vehicle and hitting other vehicles is still a big issue, but it's not that big of an issue compared to the others because of what lies ahead. Well, eventually they start trying to get the military to stop carpet bombing and everything, and then they get into contact with the general, who they try to persuade to get a helicopter to come help them. Well, he ends up declining. They get on a road and they go onto the highway. Well, as soon as they get on the highway, they see the mechanic in his Mustang floor attack. But eventually they realize that even if they are going at the speed they're going on the highway, they're not gonna make it. They're not gonna make it to the end and survive the news. So they get back onto the main road and they try to get back into the general again, which he accepts, and he tells them that they have to be there at a certain time or he's leaving it. As they get to the general and the helicopter needs to be repaired, and whatever person you chose to use for your weapons is what will go on with the event, because you'll have to shoot the zombies coming at you. You're not able to move, and if you get hit by a zombie, it's over. There is no med kits that you can use to protect yourself from them, no adrenaline, no nothing. Well, they get up in the air, barely missing the nuke, and then they start talking about the whole situation that's gone on and how a few parts of America are still left and not destroyed immediately. And he talks about how it's spread across the entire United States and how it's spread all over the world. And then they talk about a place, and he asks Diana, I think that's what her name is, the female military, if that sounds like a good idea, and he agrees, along with the other military guys on the helicopter. That's where it ends with the second. So, with that being said, there was supposed to be a third one in the making, but unfortunately, over the span of 10 years and a few games, nothing ever came out. And there are, I think, 4 games in progress. No, 5 games in progress. There's the moped and a zombie apocalypse. I'm not sure what the name of it is, but basically that's where you look at inside of this little horde of zombies. That one kind of the second one is where you're a scientist testing the zombies and trying to overcome using where you test them in multiple ways, trying to get them to interact with animals, and eventually you can either get them to be fully aggressive or somewhat tame, to where they will pet cats and dogs and not rip them apart. And then sergeant walks in and executes the zombie you were working on, and then, like, somewhere down the road you execute every one of the military members in your bunker and then get back to work. I don't remember how that game ends, but in the third one, your scientist continues to where he gets more used to the weapons that he has by using rifles, crossbows, pistols, and you have to factor in the wind speed, and that one, it's not really as good as Red Dead and Red Dead 2. Now, the storyline in it is kind of a little bit confusing, but it's a really good storyline. It's got a lot of depth into it, and the gameplay for the two Road of the Dead are amazing. Unfortunately, as I said before, with Flash being gone, you can't really play them anymore, as far as I know. I wish I could play them, and if anyone has any links that you know of for websites that will let you play them, please let me know, because I've tried websites and Flash games, adapters, but none of them work. But Road of the Dead 1 and 2 are just so amazing. If you ever played them during your childhood, or even before Flash shut down, you would probably agree with me in saying that they are one of the best, not best, but I would say best Flash games at the time, and I would kind of say revolutionary in a way, because to be quite honest, Road of the Dead, both of them, were so different from the other Flash games that were on there at the time, and they were for a mature audience, while most of the other Flash games were really for but somewhat well done games and were quite fun. But this one stuck out to me the most because of the gameplay, the vehicles, the upgrade abilities, and nowadays it probably wouldn't be as much of a challenge as it was when I was little, because I was able to play it before Flash shut down, and I got through it in an hour. But with that being said, it was so amazing for me growing up. I remember the first time I played it was at my mammal, and I was 5 at the time, and I was with my two cousins. My one cousin that was, I think, 14 at the time introduced me to it, and I fell in love with it. Every single time I went to my other grandparents, I would get on their computer, I would Google it, and I'd play. As I said, the gameplay, not really that good compared to nowadays games. It was so amazing at the time, and it was just ahead of its time. Really, it really was. I know a lot of people say Black Ops 2 and all these other games were ahead of its time, but this one, it really was. Was it the best game ever made? No. Was it a really good game at the time? still probably would be today? Yes. But the question is that I have, and I think some of you guys have, is Road to the Dead 3 going to ever become a thing? No. It probably will never become a thing unless someone else makes it. Because Evil Dog and Thick Fins, I read somewhere they aren't going to make the third one, even though they posted pictures of it, and the third one was going to be John Priestman, and instead of it being a 2D game, on a 2D platform, it's going to be a 3D game. Well, was going to be a 3D game. And they had shown designs up until, like, 2014, and then quit. Which, honestly, is kind of sad. They had so much potential with that storyline that even if they sold the game today, like if they made a third one and they decided to make it big and be on like PS4, PS5, PC, Xbox, I would honestly spend $70 or $80 just on that game alone. Even if it wasn't gonna be anything good. People would complain, obviously, but it was so dear to my heart, and it still is dear to my heart, as a child, that no other game at the time really could compare. Even though I had other games like Midnight Club, Blur, Driver San Francisco, Black Ops 2, World at War, all these other games at the time I had that were so much more developed, better written, well, I wouldn't say better written, but better designed and have better gameplay, I still chose Red of the Dead over most of them whenever I could play it. Even though this has gone on to be a very, very long rant, I do think it was kind of necessary for me to make it and kind of get this off my chest a little bit. But thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. And if you like me going on a rant, which I can't understand why you would, please let me know. But, yeah. Have a good day, guys.